And a very happy Monday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, in a story what feels like so much deja vu, the city of Oakland wants to change the name of their airport again.
No kidding.
First, it was the Oakland International Airport. Then they decided to have a little fun and call it the San Francisco Bay Oakland Airport. They got sued by San Francisco SFO Airport, and now they want to call it the Oakland San Francisco Bay Airport.
Okay, so they've succeeded in confusing everyone so that no one knows where they're actually flying to.
And when people fly into Oakland, they find out the hard way.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Yeah, don't rent a car on the Hagenberger. Otherwise, you and your luggage will be far apart.
Hagenberger.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you're in Riverside County, be careful out there because the fires are a-raging. I drove right through one of them on the 10 freeway this morning. I just texted you a picture of what I saw, Randy, and there was black smoke everywhere.
That is wild.
What do you think happened with this one? Is this a gender reveal party?
It is that time of year. Well, no, you know what it is? It's the time of year where jackasses are launching fireworks all the time.
Oh, yes. We're very close to July the 4th, and this could be the work of idiots.
Now, it could also be SoCal Edison, which I guess would also be the work of idiots.
That's true. Or it could be like what's going on in Idaho, God forbid, where you have some complete moron that's purposely starting fires so they can shoot at firefighters. Have they released the identity of that person yet?
Not that I have seen, but that was a wild story.
Yeah, no kidding. I guarantee you, I haven't even seen a picture of this person yet. But how much do you want to bet this person will look like they could be twins with the guy that shot at Trump in Pennsylvania? How much do you want to bet?
Apparently, okay, his name is Wes, and he's 20 years old, so it's definitely possible.
Okay, have they released a picture, though?
I don't see a picture.
Okay. I know they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but as soon as I found out that Trump got shot at in Pennsylvania, I said to myself, this guy is going to look like he's a victim of fetal alcohol syndrome. And then you look at the picture and you go, oh, yeah. Yeah, his mother was not sober once the entire time she was pregnant with him. When she gave birth to that kid, I think going down the birth canal, it was like a Plinko chip going down the Plinko board where he hit every single organ on the way out. And then by the time he was delivered in the delivery room, he already looked like he got hit in the face with a tire iron. And I'm willing to lay money down that this complete idiot in Idaho looks exactly like that. I know they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but yes, I can. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. And, Randy, we have some breaking news impacting California's sanctuary state laws.
That's because the federal government is lawyering up and suing the city of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and the LA City Council.
Yes!
Over sanctuary city policies, including the ordinance that was passed just earlier this year. Here's a quick update from ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
We begin with breaking news. The Trump administration sued.
They really do have the best breaking news music.
Oh, I love it. I could listen to this just while I work out.
We begin with breaking news. The Trump administration suing the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass, and the LA City Council over its sanctuary city policies in the lawsuit that was filed in California's Central District Federal Court.
That's a Saley.
There you go. He's doing a great job.
The Department of Justice says the city's sanctuary city laws are illegal and violate the Constitution by thwarting immigration enforcement. The DOJ alleges the city has refused to cooperate or share information with federal immigration authorities. We have reached out to the city for comment.
Nothing yet.
All right. I have long wondered this very question. How is this legal? Where you just decide suddenly that you're not going to cooperate with the federal government? You know, we don't like this department, so we're just not going to answer their phone calls, and that's just the way it is, and we'd like to help you out, but we can't. Imagine if the state of Utah did that with the EPA, where there was some kind of environmental problem going on in that state, and the EPA called the local authorities because they needed something, and they just kept sending them to voicemail. You think for 5 seconds the federal government would put up with that? 5 seconds. No way. And then these same people turn around and say, well, you said you were just going to go after the criminals, and now you're casting a much wider net, and you're catching a bunch of other people to the point to where there's a bunch of abandoned vehicles now in Santa Ana. What happened to the criminals? Well, the answer is, if you want them to go after the criminals, you need to repeal the sanctuary state law so they can just go to the jails and the prisons and clean them out. There's only a certain number of people working for ICE. They only have 24 hours in the day. There's only so much they can do in one 24-hour period. And if they would like to focus on the criminals, but you won't cooperate at the jails or the prisons, then they have to go find them someplace else. It's almost as if Sacramento didn't think this one through. I guess in their mind, if they won't cooperate with the feds will just say, well, you know, we spent $1 billion running a candidate on this platform, and he won all of the swing states, and he won all the necessary electoral votes. But since the state of California won't cooperate, we're just going to pack up our things and go home and find something else to do. That's not how it works. He ran on this platform, and if he doesn't follow through with it, his voters are going to be upset at him. You think for 1 second he's willing to allow his voters to be mad at him to do a solid for Gavin Newsom? What planet are you people living on? No. What he's going to do is he's going to send in ICE, and they're going to find as many people as they can, criminals or not, and it's going to be like that old Elvis Presley song, Return to Sender. And if we can't return to sender, we return him to El Salvador. That's what's going on right now. And then they complain about that. Well, what happened to the criminals? Well, repeal the sanctuary state laws, and guess what? That's where they will be. But for whatever reason, and maybe it's politics. Well, of course it's politics. But I think what they want is they want the framing of, look at the evil feds. They're going after people who are just here to clean pools or to cut lawns or to work at the car wash or to fill in the blank. And they think that public opinion will turn on Donald Trump if it's people working at the car wash who are being deported. Or even people working at the car wash who are being deported, who have criminal histories, but they're not being plucked straight from the jail. Now, what they're doing is a very risky thing. Because if Donald Trump does this, and politically his numbers are still high, then what's going to stop him? Why would you stop? If this was a campaign promise that you ran on, you are fulfilling that obligation, and you remain popular, why would you stop doing that? And it's almost as if the Gavin Newsoms of the world and the Karen Basses of the world and everyone else who's advocating for these sanctuary state policies think that they're laying some kind of trap for the feds that the feds are going to walk right into, like it's a bear trap out in the forest. Well, they're laying the trap, but they're the ones that are stepping into it, not the feds. Donald Trump's approval numbers are about the same. In fact, you look at other aspects of the administration right now, including the stock market, which is about ready to hit a record high. Inflation is on its way down. His popularity is doing pretty good. So if you think for 1 second that being in open defiance of Gavin Newsom's wishes is suddenly going to cause him to become unpopular in Georgia, you're nuts. But that's what they're doing. And I think what Gavin Newsom is thinking is, okay, this will put me on the front page of the paper. I am going to be Donald Trump's chief foil. Whether or not what I'm doing works is not relevant. And we know he's very familiar with that game plan, as we've seen with all of his public policy in California. But from his point of view, this has been a smashing success. And to a certain extent, that's true. He is now polling in second place for president in the Democratic primary, behind Kamala Harris. And I do not believe Kamala Harris is going to be the Democratic nominee in 2028. But they just spent over $1 billion promoting her. So she has the highest name ID. And no one's ever heard of the governor of Maryland, so she's going to pull ahead of all of those people. So if you're Gavin Newsom and you're polling in second place right behind the woman who had $1 billion spent on her behalf, you're doing pretty good. So I don't think he's going to change anything right now. I don't think he has any interest in repealing the sanctuary state policy. I don't think the legislature would bite if he were to go to them and say, this is what I think we should do. So in a certain respect, he's kind of boxed in on that one. And so they're going to allow the Trump administration to cast a wider net and deport people in the community. Now, if you're Donald Trump, you benefit from this too, because you are fulfilling a campaign promise, and voters are reminded of that on a regular basis. And if the goal is to kick as many people out as possible who are here illegally, it's more effective for you to do it in the community than to do it in the jails. Because if you're doing it in the community, then everyone is saying to themselves who's here illegally, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't go to that ER to get this cough taken care of. Maybe I shouldn't go to, I don't know, fill in the blank, because I might get picked up and sent back home. And at a certain point, what happens is some of them say, it's not worth it. I don't want to constantly be looking over my shoulder. Why don't I just move back to Vietnam? Why don't I just move back to Guatemala? Why don't I just move back to fill in the blank? It's much easier to just go back there than it is to stay here, not knowing if I'm going to get picked up and sent home. According to the Washington Post, about 1 million people who are here illegally have already done that, which means what Donald Trump is doing is working at reducing the number of illegal aliens currently in the United States. So if he's looking to run up the score in terms of the numbers, and Gavin Newsom is looking at getting himself on the front page of the newspaper and booked on all the cable programs, then we're now living through a situation where both of them are winning. They're playing different games, but both of them are winning the game that they're playing. So there's no reason for either one of them to change what they're doing. I don't anticipate Donald Trump telling ICE to back off anytime soon, and I don't anticipate Gavin Newsom repealing the sanctuary state policies. If Gavin Newsom wants criminals to be deported, and criminals alone, he has the power to do that. He chooses not to. And he's indicated that he has no interest in changing his mind on that subject. So this is where we are, and Donald Trump is not the kind of guy who's going to back down to Gavin Newsom. You look at what he's doing right now with all of these trade policies and the big, beautiful bill, which is being voted on right now in Washington, D.C. It looks like he may lose 2 or 3 Republican senators, but is confident that he'll be able to get this thing over the finish line. But that guy who's out there doing those things is not going to cower in fear to Gavin Newsom. So now the Justice Department is suing the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, saying their sanctuary state policies, their sanctuary city policies are illegal and do not comply with the federalist form of government, which is what we have in the United States. If they get a fair judge, I think they'll win. I'm sure Newsom will appeal, but I don't see how you can be in open defiance of federal law if you're a state or local government and have that be legal. But that's the argument that Gavin Newsom is making. Now, in a weird twist of fate, if he were to lose in court and the courts were to come down and say what you're doing is illegal, the end result will be ICE will go to the jails, ICE will go to the prisons, and that's where you're going to see the deportations. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen, and a lot of it depends on the luck of the draw in terms of which judge this case gets assigned to. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you missed a show from last week and you want to find out what you missed out on, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can also do what George Gascon does to himself in the middle of the night.
Do a Google on YouTube.
Or get one of our apps. It's a great way to listen live to our radio stations and download all the podcasts. You hear that?
Y'all.
And this weekend, we had our debut show in Fresno.
We are now on Saturdays from 2 to 3 on KMJ. You can listen live if you're in the Central Valley at 580 KMJ, 105.9 FM, or stream it, kmjnow.com, Saturdays from 2 to 3 in the Central Valley.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
790 KABC welcomes Oliver Anthony Music at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on August 1st, part of the Toyota Summer Concert Series. Tickets on sale now at pacamp.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
Coming up next, we're going to open up the California Crime Blotter. And Randy, this edition involves a frequent flyer.
Oh, boy.
And right now, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this edition of the Blotter involves a woman who not only appeared in the Blotter before, but she was a book guest on the program because she talked about being the victim of the crime.
This was a jewelry store owner in El Monte. And if you remember, this is about 2 years ago where a very large man came in and tried to steal a whole bunch of jewelry, and the family-owned jewelry store fought back.
Yes, that's right. He was a big fat guy because they got involved in a scuffle. And when she came on the show, she talked about being robbed by a big fat guy.
Well, I am sorry to report that the same jewelry store has now been the latest victim of the rooftop robberies. That's where you drill a giant hole into the roof and then steal everything from the safe.
Okay, I'm guessing it was a different burglar because I don't think that fat ass could fit through a hole in the roof.
I think this was a much more professional crew. For more on the El Monte Store Jewelry, the latest jewelry store in Southern California to be hit by what looks like a professional crew, here's K-Cal.
So this, back here at home, $1 million jewelry heist in El Monte. Thieves targeting a family-owned.
We are like weeks away from the entire jewelry industry being unworkable in California.
Oh, how could you operate a jewelry store if you're basically uninsurable and you're getting robbed by everyone this side of the Mississippi, where you have professional operations coming through the roof, you have John Candy coming in through the front door? What are you supposed to do?
I think we're at a point where they're going to have to raise prices on everything to pay for 24-hour armed security at every single jewelry store. Because if you've got $1.5 million sitting in that store, all the safes in the world aren't going to protect you with today's criminals.
You know, Randy, you and I are ahead of the curve on this one because neither one of us wear jewelry. I don't wear any necklaces. I don't wear any bracelets. I don't wear any rings. I usually don't even wear a watch. And you're pretty much the same, right?
I have a wedding band, and that's about it. But you're not going to see me with a nose ring anytime soon.
I was about to say, Unless you're wearing nipple rings that I don't know about, it's the wedding ring and that's it.
Thieves targeting a family-owned jewelry store overnight.
As KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen shows us, the suspects cut.
By the way, this is the reaction of when you hear these stories every single day and you're just desensitized.
Well, it is a Monday.
As KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen shows us, the suspects cut through the roof to get inside.
This really is unbelievable. These burglars came here with a plan. I'm talking about they had power tools. They actually cut the cords from the security cameras.
There gets to be a point where the news just detailing how a robbery happened ends up educating a certain portion of the population how to commit a similar kind of robbery.
You know, if this one was the fat guy, he'd have to blow the roof clean off to get in.
This really is unbelievable. These burglars came here with a plan. I'm talking about they had power tools. They actually cut the cords from the security cameras and then took the security cameras with them.
Okay, that's new.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that being done before.
Might as well steal all the security apparatus there, because if you cut power to the building, none of it's going to work. And anybody that's got a security system that's based on Wi-Fi, they've all bought Wi-Fi jammers on Amazon, so that's not going to work either.
So they basically took everything in that store, including the stuff that was nailed down. I wonder if they went into the bathroom and picked the lock on the soap dispenser, too.
And yes, they actually got through by cutting that roof.
I mean, what do you do to protect against that?
You can't. You can't. Unless you start living like a South American drug lord and every single thing that you own is built to prevent bullets from coming through or people from cutting through the drywall or the roof or some aspect of the building.
It was our life, you know, so, and our dreams too. So they took everything from us.
Instead of selling jewelry, Rosanna Meza and her family.
That's the woman we talked to.
Yes. Although she sounded when she was on with us like she was ready to fight back. Now she sounds totally defeated.
Well, because they fought off the fat guy, and he wasn't able to take much. These people cleared out the entire store, and as we have seen over and over and over again with these stories, I guarantee they weren't insured.
Didn't she beat the fat guy off with a stick?
I don't know if it was her specifically. I think it was one of her brothers.
You know, interesting story. Every time they hit him with the stick, candy came out.
Rosanna Meza and her family are picking up the shattered pieces after burglars ravaged their jewelry store on Main Street in El Monte.
My brother called me. I was at my house still, and he called me, and when he told me, oh, they robbed the jewelry, like, everything went, like, blind.
Meza says the burglars broke in by cutting through the roof, used power tools to crack open safes, and made off with a staggering $1.5 million in gold and diamonds.
It's a really bad year for safes.
No safe actually prevents the criminals from getting the jewels. It's a placebo.
And it's not even about cracking the code anymore. They're literally just cutting through the metal.
And if they don't cut through the metal, they'll just drive through it with a Hyundai.
There were fancy diamond rings. There were solid chains, which are the ones that they cost the most because they're pretty heavy on gold. And, you know, gold at this time, it's very expensive.
She's been through this before. In 2023, her employees fought back, punching, kicking, and even using a stick to chase off a suspect.
We remembered it correctly.
It's one of those blotter stories that just stays with you.
He was a piñata.
During an attempted smash and grab. But this time, it's different.
These were professionals. They cut the internet, they cut the security alarm, they cut the security camera, so we don't have anything.
This also isn't the first time a jewelry store has been hit like this. Earlier this month, another group used a blowtorch to cut through a wall at Encino Jewelry Mart, stealing from 5 jewelers.
And they did this in Simi Valley. It's happening all over the place, and unfortunately, the more stories we see like this, the more we're going to get because nobody's been caught.
Well, you would assume at a certain point there's going to be a security company that can figure out how to keep these jewelry stores safe. But at this point, we don't have that.
In May, 2 different crews hit stores in Glendale and Simi Valley, cutting through the roof to ransack them both. Back in El Monte, as Mesa's family helps clean up the back room, the front cases sit empty. It's a disheartening sight for this family-owned business who wakes up every day with one goal, to serve their customers.
If they could make orders, because it's so sad, we work so hard for all this time and everything is gone in a night.
Mesa told us she did file.
I don't know how you rebuild from that.
No, because typically what we found is that these jewelry stores in particular either have no insurance or they're severely underinsured.
Mesa told us she did file a police report with the El Monte police. She also told us she doesn't have insurance because she says it's just...
There it is.
Yep.
She doesn't have insurance because she says it's just too expensive for her family-run business. So her
we've heard this from small jewelry stores and large jewelry stores. Every single one of these, nobody has insurance.
Here's what's going to happen, and I don't like to make this prediction, but I'm telling you this is what is going to happen next. Because these families, and it's usually families that own these small businesses, have everything on the line. If you break into one of those stores and you start stealing their merchandise and they catch you, one of these shopkeepers is going to shoot one of these crooks. And then we're going to see the picture of the crook on the front page of the newspaper in the cap and gown, the graduation photo, and we're going to hear about what a pillar of the community they were, and they're going to try to turn everyone against the shopkeeper, and that's what's going to happen. And potentially the city could burn. If you want to avoid that from happening, local elected officials, people at the DA's office, people at the police department, you cannot allow this to happen. Because at some point, someone's going to get seriously hurt and the town's going to burn again.
Her friends have set up a GoFundMe so they can get back on their feet. Reporting in El Monte, Lauren Posen, KCAL News.
There you go. For the second time, the same jewelry store makes the crime blotter, and this time it was way worse.
But Randy, right now it's time to reopen the California crime blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this edition of the blotter involves, well, let's call it a holiday flair.
There's a lot of fireworks stories in the news because even though fireworks are illegal in most of California, there's not really any enforcement about it. And some jackass in the Bay Area thought it would be a great idea to plant a firework where a groundskeeper was doing lawn work. Lawnmower ran over the firework, and it went boom.
Uh-oh.
For more, here is KTVU Fox 2 in the Bay Area.
Christina, the explosion here at Casa Grande High School in Petaluma happened after many of the students had already gone home for summer break, so this could have been a whole lot worse. Surveillance video captures the moment groundskeeper Juan Carlos Lopez ran over a large illegal firework at a high school in Petaluma.
I guess he wasn't looking.
You know, he might have a green thumb, but I think he's got orange feet.
I was just scared. I was shaking.
You can see Lopez and his mower lifted off the ground a full 5 to 10 inches as a result of the blast.
Oh, my God. It is like Looney Tunes.
You can see Lopez and his mower lifted off the ground a full 5 to 10 inches as a result of the blast. The motive's unknown. It's unclear if it was a prank, but Lopez isn't laughing.
It was not funny. He probably can get someone can get hurt or something. Yeah, it was a big explosion.
I mean, that's a gas-powered mower. That could have been a massive explosion.
They blew that man 10 inches into the air. That's a full Milton Berle.
It happened a little after 10 last Friday morning near the front entrance of Casa Grande High School. The regular school year had ended 2 weeks earlier. Lopez is a maintenance supervisor for Petaluma City Schools. He says he's lucky he wasn't hurt, especially because he was operating a gas-powered mower and had already been mowing lawns on campus that morning for several hours.
It could have been me, yes.
Fellow groundskeeper Miguel...
Oh, my God. So he had full-on gasoline there when the explosion happened?
Yes.
He could have sounded like Gavin Newsom on cocaine.
It could have been me, yes.
Fellow groundskeeper Miguel Jaquinde was told by Lopez that morning to mow a different patch of lawn on the backside of campus.
I mean, it's kind of scary, because we do this on a daily basis, and then all of a sudden this happens. So I guess now even cutting grass, you can end up in the hospital.
We don't know yet.
Time for some hazard pay.
Well, didn't Princess Diana warn us about the landmines?
It's kind of what this is like.
We don't know yet how or why that was obtained.
Petaluma Assistant Fire Marshal Amy Segui says firefighters are helping police find the source of the firework, including reviewing surveillance video.
We have a zero tolerance policy here in the city of Petaluma. We don't know.
Every city has a zero tolerance policy. Is it practical to actually enforce it?
No, and this is basically what the state of California does. If people are planting fireworks in the football field, instead of finding the people who planted the fireworks in the football field and modifying their behavior, they'll just switch to AstroTurf.
We have a zero tolerance policy here in the city of Petaluma. We don't allow any fireworks, both those that are illegal and those traditionally considered safe. And that's because really no fireworks are safe.
Don't put a sparkler under the lawnmower either.
Well, just imagine the explosion if it happened to a kicker trying to get a field goal.
So this campus explosion happened just 3 days after a firework exploded in a teenage boy's hand here in Petaluma in an unrelated incident.
Oh, that was where that was.
Boy, they're having all kinds of problems with fireworks up there, aren't they?
That kid lost 4 out of 5 fingers.
Oh, yeah? Well, how's he going to pass math?
So as we approach the 4th of July holiday, Christina, reminder to be very careful around fireworks.
Yeah, so many accidents could happen. Henry Lee live for us tonight in Petaluma. Henry, thank you.
It doesn't matter that they're a nuisance. It doesn't matter that they're dangerous and they have started wildfires. Dumbasses in California love to make things go boom.
Here's what I don't understand. I understand that even though that they're illegal, you still have access to them one way or another. But there's nothing that you in your own backyard can do that'll be better than what the professionals at Disneyland can do. There's nothing you can do that will make it better or more impressive than what they will do at Angel Stadium or fill in the blank. There are people who do this professionally. They're trained, they're artistic, they have access to better fireworks than you do. They have the permit from the city so they can really make it go boom in the night sky. Why is it that you would want to try to do your own thing?
Because people like to blow stuff up. I was about to say the bad word.
Don't do that. But you go to the grocery store. You find that Land O'Lakes Indian. They make better butter than you could churn your own self. So why would you spend the entire day trying to churn your own butter when you can just go buy it from Land O'Lakes?
I live very close to a high school that happens to have a professional fireworks show every single 4th of July and a whole bunch of other holidays for some reason. And it doesn't stop. Every direction that I look in the San Fernando Valley, boom, 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 constantly for 4 to 5 hours. You see those aerial shots of what Southern California looks like on the 4th of July. None of those are the licensed shows. That's all jackasses who like to blow stuff up.
Well, last year, you and I were up in the Bay Area on the 4th of July. We were doing the show from KSFO for the entire week. And I had a hotel room in San Francisco that overlooked Oakland in the East Bay. I had to put my sunglasses on at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
I went to Carmel by the Sea, which I say is the exception to the rule. It's the only place that actually enforces those fireworks laws because I didn't hear a one.
All right, we've got 2 more hours to go on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California Hour is next. Barbara Stone joins us at 1:35. Don't you go anywhere.